9
It's February 9, Ukraine Media Center confirms starts its operation. My name is Svetlana Shaparenko. Now we will be talking about the consequences of the enemy shelling and current situation in Kherson and Kherson region. Joining us online is Oleksandr Tolokonnikov, the spokesperson of the Kherson Regional Military Administration. Good afternoon, Mr. Oleksandr. Good afternoon. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Mr. Oleksandr, so recently the enemy inflicted another strike on Kherson, so what is the situation for the time being in the city and in the region? Within the last day, the enemy inflicted 42 strikes. They launched 182 projectiles at different types, striking critical infrastructure, administrative buildings, the residential areas in Kherson, in the city of Kherson. People say that there might have been more explosions, but unfortunately not all of them that we can demonstrate. There were about 42 projectiles hitting their targets. There were strikes in the center of the city, Ostrovsky district. Fortunately, we have no casualties. However, a lot of buildings are damaged. The rescue services are out on missions helping people, covering the broken windows, covering the broken roofs. And the rescue services are working on mitigation of the consequences of the strike, helping people. So, unfortunately, 2 people died and 1 was injured in the city, in the very city of Kherson. In the Kherson region. 1 was injured in Kherson region in the Mashkova by blast injury. Also 1 burnt vehicle was identified by the national police with the 2 bodies of dead near Kalibacha, and we cannot identify the identities of the people. So the investigation is underway. Also, another man of 77 years reported for help from Koshkarivka village. Yesterday he was injured as a result of enemy strike, and now he is being provided basic military aid. Well, we have information that there were problems with electric and heat supply in the region after the recent strikes. So what is the situation for the time being? Yesterday there was a strike inflicted on one of the infrastructure facilities. The power technicians are working to reestablish the power supply and the heat supply. Talking about heat supply, 89% of the consumers of Kherson is connected to the heat supply. The main problem is the Korabelny district and the Ostriv. As a result of damage of heat supply line, resulted in disconnection of the consumers from heat supply, but the technicians are working to reestablish the heat supply for them. Mr. Oleksandr, do you have any information about the number of children remaining in the dangerous parts of Kherson region? Well, across 24 towns and villages, we have about 100 children remaining, a little bit less than that. Before the mandatory evacuation, there were more than 800, more than 700 children are evacuated from Berislav district with their families, and from other districts. There are no children in Berislav at all. There are some children remaining in Kherson district and in the outskirts of Kherson, in Dniprovsk, Zamoysk. There are still children there, but the work is underway by the juvenile police and social services to convince their families to leave the dangerous areas. Yesterday, Ms. Natalia Kumenuk said that the number of attacks is decreasing in the left bank of Kherson region. Can you observe the fact that the enemy is trying to save the shells? Well, do you mean the number of strikes inflicted on the left bank of outgoing from the left bank? I apologize, I cannot hear you quite well. Can you please repeat the question? Do you mean the number of projectiles launched from the left bank or launched against the left bank? Yeah, from the left bank by the occupiers. Well, yeah, I can say that within the last week there is a trend to decrease the number of shellings. We can observe it by the operative information that we get from the military every morning. But in reality, do they have any deficit of ammunition? I cannot tell you for sure, so let's trust the words of Ms. Natalia Homanyuk. Well, talking more about the occupied part of Kherson region, there is information that the occupiers are establishing a camp for the children to educate them to fight against Ukraine. Yeah, I know about such attempts. There were attempts to create such detachments, such pioneer or Komsomol detachments. They try to reanimate the Soviet Union all the time, you know. And really, there are such attempts. They really dedicate a lot of time and resources to brainwash the children, specifically because they understand that the adults do not support their activities in their majority, just like their presence at all. But the children, you know, as they say, they have this malleable brain, and they try to influence the children in all ways possible, including using those military camps, military education that they organize to educate the children, to show them how to defend Russia. Well, obviously, after we liberate the East Bank, there should be psychologists working with the children. Well, also, we have information that the occupational authorities of Novakhovka started evacuating the archives from Novakhovka. Well, yeah, we're aware of such information. They continue removing all the archives and the material from the East Bank, and they were trying to bring all the administrative institutions to Henishevsk or Skadovsk. What exactly they were removing, we don't have any specific information about that. I think they've already stolen everything that they wanted long ago. Talking about what was remaining there, well, we don't have any official information about that. The Netherlands are identified as a patron of Kherson region, but recently there was information from regional military administration of Kherson region that the Netherlands are not ready to become such a patron. So what is the cause of that? Well, I cannot confirm this information. That was one of the comments of the deputies of the heads of the region. The work is underway between the institutions from the Netherlands and with international organizations. They continue working in the territory of Kherson region, and I think that they won't be the only ones who will support Kherson region in its recovery. That there's also Denmark and other countries of European Union, also United States and other American countries. I mean, the countries of American continents. And about a month ago, the first deputy head, Dmitro Budi, was visiting the Netherlands. He was having a 10-day business trip, during which he performed a lot of work in the area of communications, in the area of recovery. So yes, the work is in progress on a high level with the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions on the floor? Good afternoon, Olga Apanasenko, Ukrinform. If I understand you correctly, in Berislav there are no children remaining at all. But generally, what is the number of people staying there? Do they have access to water, electric power, any utility services? Well, talking about Berislav, it's about 1,500 adults living there out of 12,000 that used to live there before the occupation. Well, the situation is very difficult. It's been 3 months without power supply. We try to bring potable water there. In some places, the motoric pumps keep working and the water is supplied according to the schedule, but in its majority, the people get water from humanitarian headquarters, where they also get the meals, hygienic products. In the resilience stations, people using the generators can recharge their gadgets to talk to their families, get some information updates. Basically, the scale of damage in Borislav is very substantial. More than 24 apartment blocks were damaged there, which equals to 83% of the total number of apartment blocks. 2,450 residential buildings are damaged. This is the half of all of the residential buildings in Borislav. 12 educational institutions were destroyed. The healthcare facilities in their majority are moved to the neighboring districts. The logistic is arranged for the ambulances. They don't treat people in Borislav. They carry them to the nearest medical healthcare facility. The situation is very difficult there because Russians are real close there. They keep dropping explosives from the drones. They launched the loitering drones as well. Thank you, Mr. Oleksandr, for telling us about the situation in Kherson and in the region. Let me remind you, joining us was Oleksandr Tolokonnikov, the spokesperson of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, and Ukraine Media Center. Ukrinform is coming back online on Monday. Follow our announcements. Thank you for staying tuned.